Okay. Please say yes.
30 seconds
Okay.
after this.
Okay, good. Hi, chat room.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Things are going to start happening to me now.
Live exclusively for WCPT AM and FM in Chicago and streaming worldwide at chicagosprogressivetalk.com. Standing up and speaking out, here's Hal Sparks.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
To do the vibe.
Well, all right. Johnny Million is with us. What is happening, my brother?
Can you hear me, my man?
I hear you just fine. Do you hear me?
Yay.
All's well. Look at that. Just complete.
Oh, it's weird.
It's exciting. I can't stand it. It's so many exciting
He's
things.
doing a happy dance.
Yes.
No echo.
Just good audio. The amount of joy that could bring us on any given week. Speaking of hearing things that were said, I am sure you have been following the rotten apple doesn't hang low from the fruited tree storyline.
I'm so exhausted by every 16 hours.
Right.
There's a new attendee to this meeting, a new, that part was a lie, but here's the truth.
Right.
And thinking that anybody would believe anything said when the first statement you made was so off from where you land now.
So for anybody who doesn't like to review stuff, is kind of in a move on mood all the time. There's a tendency in the Republican world right now to run two specific narratives. My favorite one being that we got to turn a corner on this narrative, and we got to start. We got to change.
That's Fox and Friends. The whole Russian thing is falling apart.
Yeah, we just need to change we need to focus on what's important to the American people who brought us here and put us in office, and we need to change the narrative on this, and it's the drip, drip, drip that's bothering us. It's the news media has it out for us, and they want to drip, drip, drip us. Okay, so these are the kind of general, and this has, by the way, been the storyline since last June. You know what I mean? Everything was soon as we hit the convention, it's going to be an all new Donald Trump. Soon as we the election, after the election, he's presidential now. He's okay. You know what? As soon as he gets sworn in, all new Donald Trump. You know what? As soon as we can get our healthcare bill put forward, this is. You know what? As soon as he gets back from his foreign trip, there's going to be a whole. That speech in Hamburg was so great that he's going to be. It's a whole new. Like, it's...
Right?
They never give up on that little chunk of irony, right? Okay. That can be taken as almost the standard operating procedure message-wise from this. And the, release the Conway kind of attribute. They were like, okay, anytime we want them to focus on what a mess Kellyanne Conway is instead of the actual mess we made... it's like literally hiring Gary Busey to be your maid. He doesn't come in and actually clean. You just go, oh, wow, he's way more of a mess than I am. And that's pretty much, you hope, it distracts you from your own mess. All due respect to Gary, who is a wonderfully odd human being.
You almost said lovely, and you choked it back.
I did. Because I don't think that's appropriate.
No.
I don't think it's true, per se. And
he'd be sitting next to shaking his head going, nope.
Nope. That's not an accurate description of me.
Yeah.
That isn't. I'm trying to tell you right now.
Do you remember him in Lethal Weapon, how amazing he was?
Yeah. As the essentially the killer, is essentially like the hard case. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I loved him in Silver Bullet.
He scared the
heck
out of me.
Terrific in Under Siege. And that was even after his accident.
Silver Bullet. He what?
He was
really?
lovely.
Under Siege was after the accident?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he was good in that.
So, I'm just saying, wear a helmet. Anyway, so here's my favorite part. So I went back after this. So for those of you who haven't been following along, the meeting with Miss Vesselnitskaya, who I annoyed my girlfriend all weekend by calling waffle lasagna. Miss Waffle Lasagna has come to meet with me. It is Mrs. Whistle Lasagna's here to fix for you. What does your name mean in Russian? It means whistle lasagna. Oh, that's interesting. Vesselnitskaya. So, first this meeting didn't exist, right? It didn't happen. It wasn't. It was listed as kind of a randomized meeting, I guess, on Jared Kushner's updated 100+ foreign contacts list on his his FS-86. And that in and of itself, the story that he put out that, it's my assistant hit send before we could actually finish it. Like, please. But, okay, you get one of those, right? You can get one of those.
Right.
That's it.
Because things happen.
Yeah, things happen. They always seem to happen around Russia, but things happen.
Yeah.
And who can't remember, Waffle Lasagna coming to your house, and wow. And anybody can, forget about a meeting that they were invited to by the son of the guy that, their father-in-law, that includes the campaign manager in the actual building. When a foreign lawyer comes in, like that gets, how many, just hundreds of foreign lawyers you're going to be meeting.
Happens often.
Yeah. So, well, and it would be weird if if you had a bunch of business in Russia, it wouldn't be weird that they're there all the time. But if you have no business in Russia, no deals in Russia, it would stand out, one would think. I think it would.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a real stark impression. My first impression as someone whose head was bounced off a curb is the whole thing is hinky. So, thanks, Gary, and no problem. So this meeting with Miss Waffle Lasagna never shows up, never makes the paperwork until because he's the Justice Department is starting to poke around. Jared updates his stuff. By the way, updates this stuff right about the time for the second time, or I think it's technically the third. The third time he's updated this information happens right around the time that Paul Manafort registers as a foreign agent, as does Michael Flynn. It happens right in that window. Okay? So, understand what I'm talking about here, okay, man? Like, you fill out the paperwork one day, and then you're like, oh, my assistant, you can't get good help these days. Even though you should hire me to run the whole country. I don't know why I'm giving Jared a Russian accent, but it's funny to me.
I do.
Yeah, right. It makes total sense. So, in terms of...
Do you remember when John Oliver played a clip of Jared giving testimony from a few years ago, and he just had Gilbert Gottfried dub it because nobody knew what he said?
Nobody knows his voice, right?
Yeah.
Why? And
it could be... Yeah, exactly.
It could be anything.
No, that's not how he sounds.
Right. Well, again, these guys ran on, I know how to make deals. And I hire people. I hire the best people. We have stupid people running things. But I'll bring in the best people, which means my son-in-law, who lets his assistant press send on his foreign, his paperwork and dealing with foreign entities. And I'm going to let him run everything because I hire the best people, but I can only find one, and he's going to run everything. And what? And, it stacks up. So, we all recall the kind of generalized story this starts to come out all of a sudden. And Don Jr., his father gives him credit for he calls him a high-quality person, which, I mean, just the...
Man, if my dad ever called me a high-quality person, I'd be like, what'd I do to you?
Totally. Yeah, it would be ironic, for one. He'd be going, oh, yeah, you sound like you're being a real high-quality person there, John. Like, you know what I mean? That would be your dad calling you out on stuff. Well, yeah, that's what a high-quality person would do, you know.
It actually kind of sounds like your dad back in the day.
It does! Ow!
Yeah. Answer me!
Answer me!
Yeah, Dad!
Yeah, oh, God, that exchange will haunt me the rest of my days.
16-year-old John and Hal.
And my dad's upstairs and screaming at me, and I'm answering him, and he doesn't hear me answering him, so he keeps yelling louder. Hal! Yeah, Dad!
Hal! Yeah, Dad!
Hal! Yeah, Dad! Hal! Yeah, Dad!
Answer me!
And the nice thing was having you there as a witness was so freeing.
It was insane. I got smaller and smaller with every exchange.
Oh, that's always a good time.
Take me away.
and I literally did one of those, like, ta-da hand motions to you.
Yep.
See? I'm not crazy. He does do this all the time. Oh, boy. So, we got to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to play... I have audio from the Don Jr. Hannity interview.
Holy moly, the softball interview. Where
I'm going to let you come on. I'm going to help you volley up these points. I'm going to literally, like, cradle you across home plate with this interview.
Here, you can wear my hair.
He even resets him up when he doesn't think he answered the question well enough. They take a break and they come back and go, you might want to hit this whole thing about you couldn't have possibly known. Do that part. I'll ask you that one again. And they basically do a take 2 in the second part of the interview. But I'll play some of it when we come back. But there's one distinct thing that stands out in this, and I want to see if you can spot it. There's a bunch of clips. I got, I think, 7 of them. But, yeah, we'll play them when we come back. I want you to see if you can spot the omission. We'll be back. It's the House Parts Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yeah, Dad! We'll be back.
Answer me!
Hi, chat room. How you guys doing? What's happening? All right. How do I always do that? I always get my X and Y rotations through. All right. Oh. And thank you, Sean, so much, and thank you, Billy, for that right out of the gate. Bless your hearts. Thanks so much. Lady B is indeed with us, and she's not having to deal with an echo today, so she's super extra happy. I'm very excited for her. Just wonderful. The whole thing is wonderful. Here's the name. Waffle lasagna. You know what's funny is, as I started saying that over the weekend, I was like, I kept offering to fix it for breakfast, and I'm like, it's kind of that McDonald's McGriddles sandwich. Right? Oh, thank you, Amos. Thank you so much. You get a little... Welcome to McDonald's. Would you like to try our new waffle lasagna? Is that possible? I was like, 5 of those? Those are the only kind of things I can eat anymore. I now have to consume food by shoving it through a hole in my head. Heck is it? Where is this story? I hear the story. Yeah, this is man, they got so many stories opened in this thing. Oh, it's in the, I think in the New York Times, was it this morning?
10 seconds.
Excellent.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Welcome back to the show. So, by the way, thank you, Johnny, for playing that, because honest to God, the new Metallica album is one of my favorites in years, period. End of story.
It's really good. You can thank Lady B. She was somebody actually gave me credit for bumper music last week when I wasn't here, and I was like, "Oh no, that was all Lady B."
Look at that. Well, thank you, Lady B. That's awesome. Here's let's see if these clips pan out, since we're playing it's always fun to roll the dice on audio.
I'm sure it'll work.
This is the
it'll work. Hold it up to the microphone or something. You know,
well, here's the first
speaker up to the thing and.
Here's the first one. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this one like kind of queued up.
It's like when they used to record the radio, the FM radio, just with a tape recorder in front of the speaker.
Right, exactly. There, in any given time, there's, I suppose, a. Let's see. You open this guy. How do we open this guy? So, if you don't recall, Don Jr. Did this Hannity interview, and at some point decided that he was, that it was important for him to go on and clear the air. The important thing was transparency. We want to get this behind us. Super important. We get this behind us. And here he is getting it behind him.
Will put off any sirens in your head? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think this was, again, just basic information that was going to be possibly there. I didn't know these guys well enough to understand that if this talent manager from Miss Universe had this kind of thing. So I wanted to hear him out and play it out and see what happens. But, people are trying to reach out to you all the time with this. All right, so you spent a lot of time talking about it, and you actually said at one point that, hey, if it turns out to say what you say it is, of course, what did you think it might be? Listen, I've been reading about scandals that people were probably underreporting for a long time. So maybe it was something that had to do with one of those things. I mean, this was her, perhaps, involvement with the Russian government. So, again, I didn't know there was any credibility. I didn't know if there was anything behind it. I can't vouch for the information. Someone sent me an email. I can't help what someone sends me.
Okay, so let's go beyond the fact
just
that
admitting that you're into that that's a crime right there.
Right, exactly. Here's the thing.
You're into it, even if it's like trying to rob a bank, but I didn't get any money.
That's right.
It doesn't make any difference. You tried to rob the bank.
I went to the wrong bank and held up an apartment building. I was intending to rob a bank. Okay, so what we know from what he's saying in the meeting right now is that a friend of his set up a meeting with this lawyer. He agreed to do it, didn't know her name, shows up at the meeting. She didn't have the incriminating government evidence from the Russians that she said she was going to have, and that his buddy said that the government was going to supply through her. And by the way, when he says she didn't have anything, we have to take his word for it. Okay? Let's understand. I've seen this floated around so many times. Oh my God! Every time it's on the news, we don't, nothing came of the meeting. However, is it illegal? Like, wait a minute. The only person saying nothing came of the meeting is the people who lied about the meeting.
It was about adoption.
Yeah, it's the guy who said it never happened in the first place, and then said it was about adoptions, and then lied about who was there. Okay, so holy smokes! All right, so the other one is, you're going to hear this a bunch. If you'll notice, he said, I'd heard a lot of things that were underreported in the news. That's a media strike. That was on his notes. If you watch the interview, he says, I'd heard a lot of things about, Hillary Clinton that were underreported in the news. He's looking at his paper when he says underreported, and he looks at his paper again later on to say the exact same thing. So this is look, the media won't do their job, so I'm doing Oppo research like a reporter, man. I'm being like an investigative journalist. I'm checking out all my sources, just in case. This isn't about a campaign. This is that she might be criminally involved with the Russians, which is this thing that they float in that first clip, which is crazy. Okay, so he's going to go to this thing. He agrees to go do something illegal, and all the dude had was baby powder. Like, it was like, that wasn't cocaine. You can't arrest me for conspiracy to buy cocaine unless it's really cocaine. You know how much baby powder I snorted? All right, so round two. This is from the same interview. Here you go.
And if there was something interesting there, I think it's pretty common.
What about the timeline of this? This is pre, for example, WikiLeaks and the DNC
honestly,
emails.
This is pre, like, Russia fever. This is pre-Russia mania. You know, this was 13 months ago, before I think the rest of the world was talking about that, trying to build up this narrative about Russia. So I don't even think my sirens, went up, or the antennas went up at this time because of it, because it wasn't the issue that it's been made out to be over the last, 9 months, 10 months, since it really became a thing. So I think there is an element of context to that. At the time, it wasn't this big news story.
Okay. Bank robber says, nobody was accusing me of robbing a bank until I actually robbed the bank. This one drives me crazy. Like, when I heard this part of the interview, I was losing my mind. This is one of my few shout at the TV moments as an adult human being. Because I threw my hands up and I was like, what? You started colluding with it. Of course it wasn't. This was in secret. You got it became a fever because people found out about this kind of meeting, because this was a consistent. Oh my God! Like, nobody caught on to us until the third bank, and now everybody, everywhere I go, there goes down the bank robber. To follow that.
That's right.
What are you talking?
Old days, like where they used to fire their names into the walls with machine guns. Oh, the Stiggins boys were here.
Exactly right.
Try to catch me, copper.
Yeah, right. We wasn't anywhere near that place. What are you talking about, copper? Now get out of my joint.
But that's small time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste my time on that penny ante stuff.
Honest to God, when he's like,
credit to John Mulaney, I totally ripped that off.
Okay, this is, I mean, the idiocy in this statement that this is before. Okay, first of all, basically when he's going, it didn't even make my radar go up. That's because you guys were so in deep with the Russians that it didn't seem weird to you at all.
Your normal is way off.
Yeah, like, I don't know, the hookers at the party got younger and younger. Like, it was that kind of, like, but eventually, you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, look, I showed up with wine coolers, some tarp, and some rope. I went into the house. Wasn't a 15-year-old girl. It was a cop. He was...
Okay, somebody please isolate this, and let's get Hal in some real hot
water. Yeah. We have YouTube video of Hal's confession. We've got the documents. We have the documents.
So what was the tarp for? What were the wine coolers?
He talks about pizza all the time. Right, all right. So, Alex Jones is going to be running video of me, whatever. Besides the one he watched.
Like cake.
Besides the stuff he watches in secret of my old show. It's another conversation for another time. But, okay. So first of all, nobody was talking about Russia until everybody was talking about Russia. And dummy, the reason they're talking about Russia is because you took meetings like this about Russia. That you were involved in this stuff. Like, the lack of, like, mental acuity in creating this defense is stunning.
Yeah, it's a lack of mental acuity with... It's kind of exacerbated by the fact that, like, because I am who I am and I'm in the position that I'm in, I did nothing wrong. And everybody around me agrees with me that I did nothing wrong.
I thought it was nothing. Went there. I thought it was nothing. I went into the place. I carried a briefcase. It was a friend's briefcase. I walked into the place. There's a couple guys there. One guy I'd met before. I didn't really know the guy. He'd set up this meeting. I put the briefcase on the table. They gave me another briefcase. I didn't look at the briefcase. I I heard some thumping from a crate next to that. I didn't pay much attention to that.
I saw this on America's Most Wanted.
Somebody snorted something in the other briefcase, which I'd been carrying, but I didn't know what was in it because I didn't look into it before I came into it. And as I was leaving the room, whole place fills with feds. Like, and now all I hear all the time is indictment, indictment, indictment. You know, I never heard the word indictment until Jimmy Drambuie and Vinny the Skunk invited me to carry a briefcase across town in a car.
Trafficking, schmackicking. I was just doing a favor.
I never even. It keeps reminding me of this. I can't even say it on the air. The line that Bruce Campbell says in Army of Darkness when he's pointing at like when they're lining him up to be executed. Basically, whoa, hold it, Spinach Chin. I never even saw these a-holes before. so it's just the guy in the car I was hitchhiking, you know.
And in case you want to know where like 90% of the drops from the intro are from, it is that movie, Army of Darkness.
That's right, yeah.
All right, you chuckleheads, listen up.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
This is my boomstick.
That's right. We'll be back. We got to take a break. More clips from Don Jr. I want to
please more clips.
Spot the gap is the important thing. What's missing in these clips when we play them. We'll be back. It's Hal Sparks and Johnny Bananas.
Forget about it.
And forget about it. And Gary the Skunk. And we all got a crate with us trying to watch that.
Why do I have to be Johnny Bananas?
Can
it be something cool?
That Buck Indiana Jones brought back with some sort of thing in the crate, and it's all the rats are dying. I don't know. We're putting it in we work with the government now.
Holy moly.
Look at them yo-yos. That's the way you do it.
The guitar on the MTV. Hated this song when I was in high school. Man, it really annoyed me. I only didn't listen because, I guess. Everybody was telling me, like, oh man, his guitar playing is amazing. And he is. I just don't like the style. That's my thing. Sorry. Yeah, plus Donald Jr. said many years prior he had down in Northern. Yeah, most of their investments came. Don't take it wrong, Alan. What? Oh, I amuse you? Why do I amuse you? Like I'm funny to you? Johnny knows million. Oh boy. Al's had his coffee this morning. It's true. I have definitely. Well, honest to God, there are certain points to this where I'm so angry about some of this stuff that it bless Don Jr. for being this stupid. Because it makes it funny. It really does. Johnny knows million. You're absolutely right, Tom. Without Russian money protecting them, without them getting a bailout in Russian money, and the Deutsche Bank money, dead giveaway. Without that, yeah. What's happening? Hello, everybody. What's happening, Jennifer? Hey, Billy and Julie. Hi, Julie. Hey, Brad. Just scroll through and see who's in the room today. Rocky Mountain Mike. Money for nothing and your chicks who pee. That's funny, Rocky Mountain Mike. I'm glad I amused you. I'm... You... I gotta work on my Ray Liotta laugh. Nobody goes to jail, Karen. But the point is, this is so stupid that I'm actually. It became like so absurd as to be funny. Hey, Carl. Is Donnie Jr. stupid, or is he just good at nurturing his inner Rashma? I think he's genuinely dumb.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I'm not talking to you. There's a problem when I say certain words that Alexa starts listening in there.
"30 seconds, and you already got a couple callers lined up."
Oh, I don't doubt it. We'll probably have to get through this segment before we can get to them. But awesome.
Cool.
Who's the Dane? This is... Don't quit my day job. This is my day job. All my other jobs are done at night.
Yeah, some fun.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
Real quick, just in case you happen to think that Don Jr. is accidentally stupid, that it just magically happened, here's a quote from Donald Trump about his wall. One of the things you need with the wall is you need transparency, he said. You have to be able to see through it. In other words, if you can't see through the wall, so it could be a steel wall with openings. That's called a gate, folks. But okay, let's call it a fence.
Steel wall with openings.
You know, but you have to have openings because you have to see what's on the other side of the wall. And I'll give you an example. As horrific as it sounds, when they throw large sacks of drugs over, and if you have people on the other side, folks, that don't see them, they hit you on the head with 60 pounds of stuff, it's over. As crazy as that sounds, you need transparency through the wall, but we have some incredible designs.
Did he really say this?
Yeah, he said the wall has to be transparent so people can watch out for flying giant bundles of drugs that will land on your head and kill you.
Oh my God.
Okay, he heard about this thing where they couldn't tunnel in certain parts of the wall. They were literally using catapults. But that chucks the stuff like 100 feet past the wall, so it wouldn't matter. You know what I mean? And secondly, a transparent wall is a fence. This is him leading up to, well, you know, it needs to be a fence. It needs to be a fence.
So you can see.
No, it was always supposed to be a fence because you have to have a wall you can see through that's a fence. That's what he's doing. This is his ham-handed, goofy, stupid way of backing away from a wall, making it a fence, and then the whole, you know, we made Mexico pay for it. Mexican sun. It's a solar paneled chain link fence. Oh my God. So okay. So this is an interesting one. This is a clip. I want you to listen for what's not in this clip. Okay, hold on.
What do you know about this Russian lawyer? What did you at the time, if anything, know?
I actually didn't know anything about it. Again, an acquaintance, you know, sent me this email as a courtesy to him. I said, okay, let's meet. But I didn't know who I was meeting beforehand. Never heard of the person. Never got the information until they were in the room.
At any point were you told, either in a phone conversation or otherwise, what they might tell you, what Goldstone seemed to be? Okay,
so did you hear any mention? First of all, he didn't take a meeting out of respect for his friend. He invited Paul Manafort and Jared Kushner along to a meeting he was taking because his friend asked him to. A meeting with someone he knew not to ask the name of, if what he's saying is true. Like, don't ask me what her name is or who she is. It's better if you just came, you know, plausible deniability. Or, he, of course, told you who was going to be there. He, of course, furthered the conversation you had on the phone in an email. That's why the whole, you know, is this government level stuff? Yeah, oh yeah, this is people in the government giving us stuff. Okay, cool. Then I'll go to this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's okay. Oh, yeah. So they go and I don't know who this woman is. I agreed to have the meeting, and then we had the meeting and it was nothing. Okay. What was missing in that particular? I mean, besides the truth.
I was always bad with escapement highlights.
It's like I'm having flashbacks to a dentist's office.
I'm looking at between the two pictures. I'm like, they look the same to me.
That's the sound of
I can't find the hidden word.
It's it's the whole, especially with the sound of a drill.
Yeah.
In the background. I'll tell you what there's no mention of. There's no mention of anyone else in the room. There's no mention of her and a translator. There's no mention of the fact that the other person in the room was this Russian-American lobbyist. The person who came up later, okay, the person he was busted, this is his softball interview. This is the whole, my son's being transparent. I want to be transparent about this. He even uses that word in the, I want to get it all out there. There's no mention of another person in the room.
Nope.
Okay, so here we go. Continuing.
Say it. Okay, they're talking, again, I go back to the first email about Russia, Russian government. I'm meeting with this person. You were going to talk on the phone. Did you ever think, maybe this might not be?
Listen, I think, like I said, in retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently. Again, this is before the Russia mania. This is before they were building it up in the press. For me,
by the way, this is his second run at this talking point.
Mm-hmm.
This was opposition research. They had something, maybe concrete evidence to all the stories I'd been hearing about, but they were probably underreported.
Second time he hit the underreported word.
Yep.
And the opposition research idea.
For years, not just during the campaign. So I think I wanted to hear it out, but really, it went nowhere, and it was apparent that that wasn't what the meeting was actually about.
Okay. Yeah. So he was looking to participate in a criminal activity, and he was disappointed that it wasn't there. Okay, so continuing. Hold on. This is I've only got a couple more of these, and we're going to take your calls in a bit too. 773-763-9278. But here we go. More of Don Jr. on Hannity.
Let me ask a hypothetical, and I know hypotheticals. Maybe you've thought about it since, and since this has now become Russia collusion, and et cetera. Did you ever meet with any other person from Russia that you know?
I don't even know. I've probably met with other people from Russia, but certainly not in the context of a formalized meeting or anything like that. Because
yeah. By the way, if you don't have a lot of exchanges with foreign nationals and government officials from Russia, then you would have to set up a formal meeting. You don't know these people. You would have to set up something specific. If you hang with these people all the time, that statement just covers any meeting. Like, yeah, he called and he came over, but we didn't set it up a month ahead of time. Like, that is such a cover-your-ass statement. But then that's what this whole interview is for. Continuing.
Grand scheme of things, how busy we were, it was much more important to doing this. This was a courtesy to an acquaintance.
Yeah, because Don Jr., if he's known for anything, it's his courtesy. I'm doing this for you as a courtesy. And at some point in the future, you will return to me. And you will bring me some, what's that fish we had in Moscow? It's so good. I don't know. Bring it over. And then I will ask you a favor. And this favor you will do for me. Absolutely, Don Jr. Oh, man. All right, so, hold on. Still no mention, by the way, of the sixth person in the room.
Schumer's asked, did you hand over any and all documents?
Well, I will. I've said it publicly. I said it yesterday. More than happy to cooperate with everyone. I just want the truth to get out there. I mean, that's part of why I released all the stuff today. I wanted to get it all out there. They're trying to drag out the story, in all fairness. They have it. They want to drip a little bit today, drip a little bit then. So I was like, here it is. I'm more than happy to be transparent about it, and I'm more than happy to cooperate with everyone.
So as far as you know, as far as this incident is concerned, this is all of it.
This is everything.
Yeah. This is everything.
Because the New York Times kept giving them opportunities to.
They called him. They said, "Do you want to make a statement? We're going to release these emails." He dumped them before they could, and said, "Look at me being transparent." Honestly, which is like saying you hold again, to use the bank robbery analogy again. You're going to get tried for armed robbery. Look. The cop said throw the gun out the car window. I did. It's no longer armed robbery. You know what I mean? Like, that's the argument. Isn't that basically the argument he's making here? It's like, I didn't have a gun when they took me in. Yeah, because they told you to put it down. But so he gets busted by the New York Times. They call him and go, "Hey, we're gonna say this. We'll give you." He goes. They ask for more time. They release this concocted statement, by the way, that the president, according to multiple sources, take that as you will, helped craft the storyline. They sat around and kind of jockeyed up how we're going to talk about this, him and Reince and everybody. They circled the wagons. Not weird to do, but they absolutely did it. You can tell about the, they lined up the storyline, even though, by the way, the storyline we found out, 17 hours later was crap. But this whole, I was invited to collude. I showed up, and they didn't have anything to collude with. So I just zipped up my pants and left the room. Like, there's a point where, okay, oh my God. All right, so last clip, and this is this is sort of, in many ways, the kicker for me. This is a short meeting.
It turns out it was nothing, and therefore there's nothing to be able to actually talk about.
The whole contact took how long? How long was the meeting?
20 minutes or so.
About 20 minutes. And Jared left after 5 or 10?
Yes.
Like she said, and Paul Manafort was on his
phone
the whole time.
Pretty much. Listen, like I said, it became pretty apparent that this was not what we were in there talking about.
A lot of people are going to want to know this about your father. Did you tell your father anything about this?
No. It was such a nothing. There was nothing to tell. I mean, I wouldn't have even remembered it until you start scouring through the stuff. It was literally just a wasted 20 minutes, which was a shame.
Okay.
Wow.
What's his complaint here?
That he didn't get Oppo research from a foreign entity.
That's right. He was promised opposition research from a foreign government source, and when they came, they didn't have it. And by the way, again, we have to take his word for the fact that they didn't. Like, this, I can't stress this enough. This nonsense that floats around that they got nothing from the meeting, so what's the big deal? The only people saying that they got nothing from the meeting are the people who were in the meeting who lied about the existence of the meeting in the first place. I don't find them to be a trustworthy source. Then we find out that there's a Russian-American lobbyist who, by the way, has bragged about being paid as a PR firm against a mining company right after he got paid to represent the people who were in a lawsuit against this Russian mining company. The next day, they were hit by a hack. EMR Mining was hit by, I believe that's the name. I don't want to mess it up too much. But this guy Akhmetshin, who was at this at this meeting, who they never said was at the meeting, at one point was hired basically to create an opposition PR, basically anti-PR against the this company. And the next day after he was hired, they were hit by a hacking attack. And he admits to passing around a hard drive with all the private information of all the executives of that company. He bragged about it. When he was in a lawsuit, he never admitted to the hacking in court, but they had him on record passing around the hard drive with the hacked material. So he copped to that. So, like, that in and of itself is frigging amazing. Okay, so that's the guy who they forgot to mention was there. In the meeting that they forgot to mention happened at all. In a meeting that nothing came of it. And then what do we find out? We find out that she came there with a folder full of documents and passed them to Jared, and Jared left the room. Jared left early, and the documents went, okay. And by the way, the constant refrain you are hearing is nothing came of the meeting. The only people saying nothing came of the meeting are the people who got busted for having the meeting in the first place. Period, end of story. The guy who was in the meeting, who they lied and said wasn't, said, oh, P.S., she had a folder full of information, and and they left with it. I mean, please, don't talk to me about this is all smoke, that all we hear is collusion, illusion, delusion. This is a hole they have dug themselves, thinking, I'm going to make it to China, like some toddler in the backyard. When we come back, we're going to take your calls. And then we are going to talk about the health bill today, too, because it's all hands on deck. If you haven't called your congressperson, your senator, told your relatives to call their congressperson, their senator about this nonsense, you gotta. Monday CBO score comes out. That's the day to hit. We'll be back right after this. From another, you hit the highway, looking for another. The hills behind. I love this song. I love this song. Nothing for nothing. Yeah, WWS, I know no worries in Illinois, so make the call somewhere else. Oh, teach us to say the Russian lawyer's name. It's not lasagna. Yeah. It's Veselnitskaya. Veselnitskaya. What's her first name again? They just have her as Miss Veselnitskaya. Mm-hmm. That's too hissy. Sorry. Yeah. Did anybody see what her name was? Her first name? No. Oh, Natasha. Thanks, Latanya. Yeah, that's right, Mike. Let's see, Rocky Mountain Mike. Trump has dug himself so deep, it's a good thing the coal miners like him. Yeah, but there aren't going to be any down there because they've all gone to work on natural gas fields. The ones that they trust with machinery. Yeah, we do need a Musa and Squirrel. We do need an Igor.
Now back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
Johnny Million and I have still got to carry... I've had this dream for a long time to do a Cinderella cover band called Night Songs, and we only do the first album. It's 35 minutes long. You could do it and be home by 9:30. It is. It's 10 songs. They're all 3.5 minutes long. It's like the weirdest...
Even Night Songs? The
song
itself?
Yeah, I think it evens out because one of them's like 3:20 or whatever. But it's one of the shortest albums ever. But it's awesome. And Nothing for Nothing is such a great song. Like,
we don't have much time for calls because news is right around the corner.
That's right. So let's grab one right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So line one, Bob from Indiana.
Right on. Hey, Bob. Welcome.
Hey, Bob.
Hal, Johan, how you doing?
Johan, yes, we all get Hill. You can call me Hill. It's Hyel right now. We all go by our Russian names when we're speaking freely, yes? All right, go ahead.
Well, I kind of think I found out what little Donnie von Ladyfingers Jr., one of the things he was up to here over this past millennium with this meeting thing, and it took me until midday yesterday
Okay. Yeah, everybody just running in and out of the doors, filling the place up with as many Russians as they possibly can.
Yeah. I mean, his timing and he's so off. He can't get it right with like everything they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the Keystone con job. It's like these literally just every time he's spinning so many plates that eventually you're basically watching a comedy of when will this all hit the floor.
Well, I tell you what, by Monday morning we're going to find out that the Bolshoi Ballet, Moscow Circus, and the regime of Ivan the Terrible will be in there having been making vodka s'mores all through this.
Vodka s'mores, what a horrifying notion. And I think you're right. I mean, I think there's the reality is thank God they're so ham-handed at this. You know, thank God that they're not better at this level of collusion, genuinely, because
that might be what saves the day for all of us.
Yes, absolutely. If they were better at this stuff, if they weren't such outsiders to some degree, both in terms of politics, but also in terms of legit business, because the New York real estate market being as closely tied with mafia and laundered money and foreign money that it is, that there is a real slapdash way of throwing these deals together that everybody there has just gotten used to. You know, it's normal to them. And if they had to work in Chicago, or they had to work in Seattle real estate, or Los Angeles, or even Phoenix, or any other like normal big city with a decent sized airport, they would be up against a genuine line of building inspectors and whatnot. And I'm sure there are issues in all major cities, but New York is a special case. Considering this kind of like tap dance around the UN and the people who have to live there because of the UN building, and you know, just in general the mix of the city over the years, and it being as immigrant friendly as it has been, there's a lot of wiggle room there would be with that don't exist anywhere else, and they've taken advantage of it for a very long time.
You know that.
Yep, appreciate the call. It's an astute observation, my friend. I just if only because it might get people to watch Marx Brothers movies. But appreciate the call. And since we only have a couple minutes left, it was IMR was the company I was talking about, is International Mineral Resources, and that they basically accused this company, Joachim Volgakali, of corporate espionage after this guy was hired to to operate PR for that company. Akhmetshin, who essentially, it looks like they hired the mining company hired a private investigator to follow this dude around, and that guy testified in court that he overheard in a restaurant Akhmetshin mentioning that he had hired hackers to break into the mining company's private computers. And it's not. Understand for a second. And that lawsuit happened well before any of this started. That lawsuit dealing with that wasn't filed after Trump ran or won. It was specifically, years before this was an issue, which means the other guy at the meeting was the only other Russian they could find who'd hired hackers to break into somebody else's, a rival's company and steal information. And whatever you think of the Russians, they're not all like that. They couldn't possibly be, or they would be the biggest technological force on the planet. If everybody in Russia could hack like these guys that they seem to be elbowing with, it's ridiculous. We'll be back. More of your calls too. 773-763-9278. Oh, man, I hate this song. One moment, folks. Hold right there. I'm gonna go gather something. What are you doing? I got another hour. Keep yourself. Okay. All right. Back in the New York groove. Yep, I'm just checking on Camden. he was. I went in. He's watching a movie with Gigi, my mom, and that's not her real name. That's what he calls her. Anyways, and he's hanging on the headboard of my bed, about to like kind of do a, I don't know, like a somersault off of it or something. It was just funny. And he's so funny because he. Yeah, it's so funny because whenever he spends, because he spends intermittent times with me and with his mom, and it just goes back and forth like that. It's a pretty normal experience, and I'm sure a lot of parents who, have, like custody situation that's similar, or whatever. He'll start to call her dad or call me mom every so often for a day or so. And so now he's started calling me my dad. My dad. Dad. It's really cute. Call her mom. See if this audio is good on this guy. 1 second. Wow, that's terrible. Yipes. Just trying to grab a piece of audio for this next chunk. Yeah, wasn't that like, I don't know what the heck that audio was. I couldn't play the clip that I wanted, so I got to try to find another source for it because I don't know what that sound was.
30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
What's the conclusion? Collusion? No, we don't have that yet. I see illusion and delusion. So just so we're clear, everyone, 4 words. Conclusion, collusion, no. Illusion, delusion, yes.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Johnny Million, do you know the movie the woman is saying from, where she calls me a puss-faced little pimp stick? You know what movie that is? It's from Dragnet.
Wow.
Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. One of the great comedies of all time.
Really?
Yeah. Both of them are so brutally funny in it. And the character actress, I'm blitzing on her name right now because I wasn't expecting to talk about it, but who's in that, she's been around forever. She apparently just constantly uses so much foul language that Joe Friday is threatening to cite her for swearing because she just can't talk without swearing. It's so good. But I highly recommend it. And Tom Hanks is in top comedy form, like bachelor party level form. You know, like man with one rich shoe.
Splash skinny Tom Hanks here.
Although Splash is where he started getting serious because that was his first turn into true romantic comedy, and he got a little angry past that point. If you'll notice, his style switched to an anger-based stuff when he's operating opposite John Candy. And maybe people bring that out. Like, John Candy's so real at what he's playing that to compensate playing the straight man, you have to appear so angry that it makes it uncomfortable, which is why I don't like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, because I think Steve Martin is one of the great comedy geniuses of all time, but I think he comes across as a genuine jerk when it comes to...
he's pretty mean to
he's
John
awful.
Candy in that movie.
The character is awful
to
him. Yeah, it's not funny awful, it's real awful. And, so anyways, that aside, being there... that's me recommending everybody own Dragnet with Dan Aykroyd, who had a birthday just like a week and a half ago, I think. Anyways, let's take some calls because I'm sure we have some, and then
we got like 4 calls sitting out here, and we've got an old favorite, David from Sacramento, out here on line 2. Thanks for hanging on.
Right on,
David.
Yep. Hey, David, go ahead. Yeah.
Good. So. I think everybody's concerned about this health care.
Yep.
So, and by the way, we were trying to get universal health care in California, but obviously one of the Democrats.
Yep, blocked by a state rep. Yeah.
That
in committee.
That idiot. Yeah, that's him. And that, to be honest with you, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much commercials you put out there, and I don't care how much signs you put out there, signs as well. But you're gone. You're out of there. That when you say it's too damn expensive, that's not your money. It's my taxes.
Right.
So you don't tell me what to do with my taxes, saying it's too damn expensive when it's not your damn money in the first place.
That's right.
So all those damn people that said that it's too damn expensive when it's not your money, it's my taxes. You're gone. You're out of there. You are gone. And we're not going to worry about your money because your money's not going to buy me my vote to sway any decision. Everybody made up their mind. And what they're going to do right now doesn't matter. He's gone. You're gone. All these other idiots that voted against this universal health care in California, I'm letting you know, we're not paying attention to your money. We're not paying attention to your signs or commercial. We're getting ready. And 2018 is coming around the corner.
Absolutely.
As far as I'm concerned, as far as the Republicans concerned, you better watch out. You better watch out, Republicans, because 2018 is coming around the corner. You're gone as well.
That's right. This brings up
I want everybody to send in their mail. I want them to send in their vote. Do not go to the polls. Send in their votes so that way they don't mess around with the damn mail.
Go down to your local Secretary of State's office or your actual voting. The district office, like here in Los Angeles, it's a bit of a drive, but you can vote early there. I think almost 2 months before, like 60 days, and you can go in there at any time. And by the way, whenever I do that, there's a line down the hallway. People are doing it. The other thing is, and this, I'm so glad you brought this up, Dave, is that leading up to the Affordable Care Act, one of the things that people on the left slammed Obama for was the idea that when you're making a deal, you don't offer them, you ask for more than you're willing to take, and back and forth. You don't start in the middle and let them take away from you and all that kind of stuff. You always heard this whole thing about Obama is the one who removed single payer from the bill, or that they didn't fight for it enough, or whatever. Max Baucus came to the president basically with the warning of exactly what that Dem state senator here in California did. It essentially said, if you put it in the Affordable Care Act, it's dead in committee. I will never let it out of committee. Did that get hung around Baucus's neck? Did that get hung around the Blue Dog's neck? No. It got hung around Obama's neck the entire time. Everybody said, why wouldn't Obama fight for single payer? Why wouldn't he do it? Because if he had tried, the rest of the bill would have evaporated. All the people who are saying right now, if we repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, or if we put in the Republicans, all the people who are upset about that idea because of all the people it will harm, are basically saying, so what if those people were harmed back when Obama was actually trying to push the bill through? All these Democrats and independents and liberals who are saying that we should have gone down swinging, that it would have been better if he'd have fought for single payer, will understand that if he had fought for single payer, none of the positives, pre-existing conditions, staying on your parents' plan until you're 26, the ability to buy, have a plan that actually gives you what it says it gives, all of that evaporated. Never makes it out of committee. The ACA never would have made it out of committee. And if anybody wants to know what that would have looked like, it looked like California. But here's the weird thing. Is anybody blaming Jerry Brown for the failure of single payer in the state of California? No. Because there is no other bill. It's just another thing that's dead in committee. There wasn't an equivalent Affordable Care Act for California. It was simply a single one to start a single payer system, matching Washington state's effectively. And by the way, the Affordable Care Act allows for provisions wherein if states create their own single payer systems, like Washington state or Vermont or Massachusetts, if they create their own systems, eventually, one of the pieces that, by the way, the Republicans have been blocking and the implementation of, would allow you not only to buy into Medicaid, into Medicare, at a later date across state lines, but you can also buy into Washington State's program. You can, in the Affordable Care Act, there's a provision wherein if insurance companies start to raise their rates so high that it basically unleashes this level, which is why they've been fighting to end it by the end of this year, because this all triggers in 2018. That in 2018 and beyond, you should basically you would be able to, if insurance companies increase their rates at a certain point, and they've already done it, they've already hit the line, you would be able to buy, if you lived in New Mexico, Washington State's single-payer insurance for yourself. They would be your insurance company. And the money that you were paying into that insurance, that, wouldn't go to profits for a company that in many cases is multinational. It would go, those profits would just go into the state of Washington. They would just benefit the people who live in Washington state. And if California could get its own version of single payer, and we get the ability to buy across state lines, if California manages its system better than Washington, people will prefer it in the market of ideas, in the marketplace, you know, which is allegedly something that Republicans always seem to like, you would be able to, if you lived in Washington and you didn't like the single-payer system that was available to you in the state and you didn't want one of the private ones, you could buy California's. That's an easy fix. If Hillary Clinton was president, if Barack Obama hadn't been blamed for the Blue Dogs and all of the Republicans, by the way. Just because I'm down on Blue Dogs, it's because they tipped the scale. Because they froze it in committee. But there wasn't a single Republican that would have signed on to it. So they're not the good guys in this situation. They were the always bads. The only reason there's any kind of moral issue with the Blue Dogs themselves is because they are the tipping point. So if at any point someone calls out Obama and says he didn't put single payer in there, you have to understand, had he done that, the Affordable Care Act would be where the California single payer bill is right now. Dead in committee. And anybody who knows anybody who benefited from it would have to look them in the face and go, you know what, I just think it was better to have a political fight on the floor for everything rather than get stuff piecemeal or improve the situation. I want a big fantasy fight over principle that goes down in flames versus actually helping people. It's unforgivable. It's stupid. It's not how a democracy operates. And these people are like, well, why don't you give some to get some, and why would he give it away right away? And you know, how come he gave it all? Okay, first of all, they're ignoring the fact that it would have been frozen in committee, never made it out. But they're also not realizing they're not participating in that, because that's exactly what the Affordable Care Act was meant to do. Was to advance the ball down the field as much as they possibly could with the limitations put on them both by the Republicans and the conservatives in their own party, who threatened the death of the bill. And you must ask yourself, if you haven't read the Affordable Care Act, I recommend it, especially if you're going to criticize Obama for what's in it. But if you're going to sit there and tell someone that we should have just had a fight, and that fight should have been about Medicare for all or what have you, and not recognize the reality that the country wasn't there yet, and it would not have happened. It would have been a legislative failure. It would have looked like Hillary Care in the 90s when they shut it down back then. And are you willing to wait another 20 years? The reality is, what Obama was able to accomplish with the Affordable Care Act is nearly miraculous and one of the greatest legislative achievements of our lifetime. Is it everything we want? Don't be stupid. It's like, it literally is if you managed to do a kickoff that landed on the 20-yard line, and your team got possession of it back immediately. And you're like, well, we didn't get to the finish line. I think we should just run back and re-kick towards our own goalpost. It's offensive. It's derogatory to people who worked really hard to try to save a lot of lives to get us out of the status quo. Did it solve it all? No. But to say that it's all or nothing is just as dismissive as Republicans get. Republicans get this whole thing, well, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Too many people cheat the welfare system, so we need to shut it down. Instead of saying, 98% of the people who receive welfare or disability, for example, desperately need it. You have a 2% or 8% fraud window on nearly every human activity, and they use that 8%, that 2% as a reason to shut it all down. There's 4 cases of voter fraud, all of them Republicans, by the way, and that's a reason to gut our voting rights. Even though you're harming the majority of good people trying to do good work, trying to help actual human beings. But hey, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. And if single payer is your omelet, then all the people who were helped by insurance reform under the Affordable Care Act, if they'd have died during that window, that's tough. It's important. It's important that we fight for this part of it, because the perfect must be the enemy of the good, no matter how many good die. I feel about this so ferociously, and it disgusts me when I see it. If you believe in Medicare for all, if you believe in single payer, then every situation where you can advance the fight for more coverage, more insurance, for more people, that actually gives the services it's supposed to give, that is always an advance towards that. Because profitability in healthcare will always run up against the wall of actual care. But this all or nothing nonsense is dismissive of human lives. And I find it disgusting. We'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Hold on a second. Got serious there for a second. Oh, that pisses me off. I can't show you guys the screen because Summer's just waking up, and I usually call her before the show, but I couldn't because tech issues. So. Oh. Jeez. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, I'm in mid-show. I'm in a break, but I missed you, and so I was calling. So hold on. You want to say hi to everybody? Hold on. Let's see. Hi. Anyways, I just want to show you. Look what shirt I got.
Oh, are you competing with
I am. So tell Mark I'm coming for him. Ah.
my NASA cup, so.
Right there. There you go. Yep. So anyways, I'm going to send a picture of this shirt after I just watched it. I got it yesterday. I'm going to send a picture of this to Mark after. Okay. I'll talk to you in a bit. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Mark Savard started this whole joking hitting on Summer with his SpaceX shirt. So I jokingly went online, if you'll recall, and said, "I'm going on right now and get one." Mm-hmm.
$15 seconds.
Now back to the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 773-763-9278.
Welcome back to the show. We went a little over the break last time, obviously, because I got off on a tear about this. And it's something I feel very passionately about, because I actually want...
you don't say.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where I actually believe in getting to the point where we have single payer in this country, and I just know that a lot of people just want to do it like, oh yeah, you know how you teach a kid to swim? You just chuck him into a river, you know? It doesn't work that way. It just does not. And if you want it to actually work, you got to go through the painful incremental process. You know, I've often said that, you know, like revolution in political discourse in the United States is the 6-minute abs of politics. Right. It is this promise of, you know, instead of like an exercise plan that gets you healthy, It is simply, we will put a rubber band around your stomach so you won't eat so much. And it's how it played out in other countries. It's how in many ways it's how the Chinese Revolution, which is if you look at the Cultural Revolution and the damage done and the people killed and the artwork and historical just documentation that was destroyed, the number of people who were slaughtered in the process, because this idea that that communism on the march was this, it was so important that we had to wipe out what was before, instead of incrementally leading people, doing the hard work of going, yeah, there are certain areas of human interaction that shouldn't be profit-based. That's a reasonable thought to have. But to jump in and go, you know what, that's everything. Nothing should be profit-based. There is no hierarchy of worth or any of that stuff. And we will enforce it through violence. And in many ways, I felt, that the way people reacted to, the Affordable Care Act and the dismissal of it and letting it, kind of flounder with, bad press because it wasn't as far as you wanted it to go. Instead of saying, I love it, I think it's great, but it could go further, and here's how. People went, it's terrible, and, and acted like Republicans acted about it. It's, and so if you're willing to sell it down the river like that, I can't take you seriously. And I'm sure we'll get calls about that. I don't have time for them today. So let's get one more who might have been holding on when we were talking about.
We've got on line 3. Robert from Florida has been hanging on for like an hour. Thank you so much for hanging on.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah. Hi, Robert.
Hey, no problem. I'm on my battery might be on life support. I might have to get the ACA to fix that.
Sure.
Anyway, it's your show. Never apologize. I mean, you had a good point, so I was listening to him, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I called about 3 topics about the week, but I'll go quick on each one of them.
Sure.
The first topic is Jared Kushner. And I think that if their question is being asked about who's leaking, I think it's him, because he sees that his father-in-law has the ultimate get-out-of-jail card, being the president, and his father sitting in jail. I mean, you would think the day he got inaugurated, that, like within hours, his father would be sprung out of the joint, no matter what he did.
Right.
The other thing is, with Jared Kushner, he sees his father-in-law there as a fascist wannabe. You look at Mussolini; he killed his son-in-law, who was also very, he also
a loyalist.
He also asked a lot of, he was very, he was the policy wonk.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, he caught a bullet to the head. Then I want to talk about real fast is those 2 houses that Trump is considering giving back to Russia.
Right.
And here's my opinion on that. Obama should have donated those houses to a charitable cause like the Veterans Association or some kind of thing for children. That way it would be really difficult for Trump to say, you know what, we got to kick out the vets and those starving kids over there and give it to Russia. Or,
I agree. Yeah, for the record, go ahead. Continue, and I'll answer after the break because I just want you to finish. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go. Let me go real fast. And then those houses are in blue states with governors. Why don't those governors just have condemn them or eminent domain them, or just take the roads that go to the front yard or front driveway, take them out?
Yep.
Let Russia. When they have those houses, they're gonna have to helicopter in every time. One last thing, I'll let you go. Why would the French guy invite Trump and his wife to Paris for the Bastille Day? That don't make any sense to me. And the only thing I can think of is I think the French dude's a swinger. I mean, his wife is nice and pretty, and I think he saw the pictures of Melania there. I think he saw Melania naked. He said, you know what, this menage a trois could actually happen with him. And at the end of the day, we'll wee on. And I'll let you go.
Okay, appreciate that. I definitely have an answer on that one real quick. No, his Trump was pawing his wife and being all skeevy with her. He had her by the hand. I don't know if you've seen the video where she's trying to pull her hand back. At one point, she's hiding behind Melania. Basically,
I appreciate Robert's. He's always open.
Yep, his angle is direct. I believe. Yeah, it's real. Here's what I will say. I think what Macron has recognized in many ways. He and Justin Trudeau have had the same kind of conversation, which is this guy Trump is so open to flattery, and if you just BS him, if you bring him over give him a nice meal, show him some pomp and circumstance, he'll kind of do whatever you want. They learned from the meeting with President Xi that if you just play to his ego, you'll get kind of whatever you want. And he'll come back and go, oh, this is our great ally. We love them. I get along with them great. They love me. They're basically looking at how he's been with Putin and goes, wow, if he's this way with Putin after all this crap Putin is doing, then he should be putty in our hands. And that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly, but all the presidents, they've gathered around, and I even tweeted about this earlier. They've gathered around and said, you know what, if you just flatter this idiot and give him a bunch of sugary desserts, he'll put a parade, he'll kind of do whatever you want. If you don't, then he gets all mad. But like, look at what happened in Poland. All these elements. It's important to look at that. That they are recognizing that he's a mark.
Totally.
Yeah, we got to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls and a breaking story about the Trump. Yeah, no, about the Don Jr. saga, the gift that keeps on giving. We'll be back. Mm-hmm. This is interesting. Mm-hmm. this is, I just, see how many bank executives were jailed after 2008. A few. There were, like, a few. None of the, like, the types of people. Let's see.
I'm Dick Kay from Back on the Beat, and here is the mega worldwide radio program with Hal Sparks.
Be sure you stick around and listen to Dick Kay after the show. Really, there's so much going on.
I love that promo.
Yeah, I do too. He's awesome. And he's a national and a Chicago and an Illinois treasure.
Seriously,
yeah.
Like my wife didn't watch a whole lot of local TV when she was growing up, so she was like, oh, I don't know who Dick Kay is.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much everybody I went to high school with, or even just people that are about my age, and I say, yeah, I see Dick Kay almost every Saturday, and he's an effing legend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whenever he was on the TV, even when I was a kid, I was like 11 years old.
Right.
When I saw Dick Kay on TV, I was like, S is about to get serious.
Yeah, that's right, because he will break it down. Absolutely. And especially with the... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't have much more to say.
Just saying that with the Illinois budget crisis and the ongoing shenanigans that pass for governance under a Republican governor, there's tons of stuff that Dick is particularly qualified to break down. So,
and he had the controller on his show, the woman who made this happen. She's the one who went national. We heard her on NPR a couple weeks ago.
Right.
She helped blow this thing up after, actually, you got to thank Chris Christie a little bit, too, because New Jersey not having a budget and having a shutdown kind of helped put the spotlight on other lame states.
That's right. Okay, so just so you know, a little bit of breaking news. Days after Donald Trump Jr. hosted a group of Russians at Trump Tower promising to deliver damaging information on the DNC and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, a hacker believed connected to the Russian government released a trove of documents online, including ones that sound similar to those reportedly provided to Trump Jr. Ranik Akhmetshin, a Russian-American lobbyist and former Soviet counterintelligence officer, told the Associated Press Friday he took part in the meeting on June 9th, 2016, along with Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya. Akhmetshin said that Veselnitskaya brought a folder full of documents which he said she left behind after the meeting. The documents detail DNC's finances and funding sources, some of which Veselnitskaya described as unlawful, Akhmetshin told the AP. Trump Jr. has dismissed the meeting as a nothing that went nowhere. By the way, he's calling it that. He's saying we went there to get details on how I was promised details on the DNC committing some sort of crimes or not paying taxes on or whatever. And then basically these papers showed up a few days later when they were released by Guccifer 2.0, who, if you'll recall, Roger Stone had contact with, and Roger Stone was still involved with both Trump and the
guy
candidacy.
from Mad Men?
Yes, that's right. The weird guy.
I'm really confused now.
Yeah, well, they all have character names. I mean, we have a woman named Reality Winner, who's the biggest whistleblower of the year, for real. 9 days after the meeting, an entity who identifies as Guccifer 2.0, believed to be a front for Russian intelligence services by everybody except the Republicans, I guess, released a cache of documents that appear to have been stolen from a DNC server. The content seems similar to those described by Akhmetshin in Friday's interview. Here, I upload a new part of the docs from the DNC network. The Guccifer 2.0 website bragged at the time. It appears there were a lot of financial reports, donor list, and their detailed information, including email addresses and private cell phone numbers. I got tons of files and docs. If the files Akhmetshin said were left in Trump's office are those released by Guccifer 2.0 or the same, it would apparently show an information pipeline flowing from Russian intelligence to the Trump campaign. And by the way, from the Trump campaign out onto the internet specifically as a way to manipulate the conversation. And by the way, this, like any digital situation, these files themselves, even the Podesta emails. If you'll notice, Podesta and the Clinton campaign never went through the process of agreeing that that those were the ones released or whatever. They never admitted that those were their emails. And the reason they do that is because once you say, yeah, those are my emails, you cop to everything that's in them, whether you wrote it or not. And it is super easy for anybody in an email chain to insert a sentence every 3 or 4 of them. I've done it as a prank. I've had it done to me. That 3 emails back, they write a sentence in or whatever about, you admitting that you that you murdered somebody and buried their corpse. Like, why did you say that, by the way?
Oh, like something in the weird quotes that get buried at the bottom?
Yeah, you just put stuff in. Yeah. It's super easy. And it's just going forward, it's in there, and depending on what you try, and you can say, no, they added it there. Like, oh no, you omitted it in the other one. Like, it creates
good cover, by the way.
Yeah, right. Thanks very much.
Putting that, you're planting the seed now.
But that's true. I mean, it's easy to do. Digital documents are easy to manipulate, and unless you want to go line by line, admitting to what you did and didn't say, which if some of the stuff is awkward, negative, or can be interpreted badly, you won't do. So you'll just go, no, that's not my stuff, and you'll be caught in a situation where you're manipulated. So it is extremely touchy and super easy to do with digital documents. That's why it's always suspect. And then you have to consider the source. You have to go, where is this coming from? Did I get this from a reputable source straight from the server, or it was supplied to me by a friend that I met someplace? He's a friend. He's a surfer I know.
Wow.
A surfer I know found it on the beach. But if your source is Natalia Veselnitskaya, and the guy who was admitting to hacking into a company he was hired to do Oppo research on and released personal documentation, then you have to take that into account. If you have to go, Putin wants a certain outcome in this situation. So do we trust that if the Russians got a hold of any documents, that these are all the documents, they're legit, nothing's been omitted or added? You have to take that into consideration. Well, you don't have to take that into consideration if you just dump it on the web and walk away like, I don't know, I just found this stuff. And you can't do that if you're a legit campaign, because people will call you on it. But if you give it to somebody will dump it onto the internet and never verify it, like WikiLeaks has been known to do, and certainly like Guccifer 2.0 is doing, then you've got perfect diplomatic cover for an Oppo dump against your opponent that includes false evidence that will, by the way, always be tried in public, never be tried in reality. So in here comes the New York Times. They're going to release these emails that they have from Don Jr. They call him to verify them. Here they are. We'll email them to you. Look them over. Are these the ones that you sent? He dumped them online, if you'll recall. He put them out himself, which proves, by the way, that the ones that the New York Times had were the actual ones. They match up pixel by pixel. This is not something that that WikiLeaks and Assange have done for anyone ever. They've warned the CIA and apparently the NSA and some companies that they're going to release details of their cyber activities so that they can, we'll give you, basically 48 hours to switch your firewall passwords because we're about to release your firewall passwords.
Yep.
All these attacks that are going on in across Europe right now, hospital systems being shut down, all that. Yeah. Curiously, right after the code released by WikiLeaks got out there about how the CIA has hackers. By the way, the idea that we have a plan to do anything, understand, or the capability, the cyber capability to attack anybody. There are people in the government whose job it is to figure out how to do that all the time. Whether they actually do it or not is the actual conversation. But their job is to figure it out. We have a contingency plan for everything. That's when you have a military as big as ours. And by the way, all major militaries have a contingency plan for almost every stupid thing. They have somebody in charge of, okay, what if Guam gets a nuke? All right, well, here's how it plays out if Guam
those Guami bastards.
Those Guam nukes, they're always a problem. But the important thing is that in the case of the New York Times, who's been accused of fake news over and over again by this administration, they contacted Don Jr., said, are these your emails? We're going to release these. Are these right? And he released them. And they do match up. They are real. And the only fake news that's come of this is Don Jr.'s story about it. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll take a couple more calls. But this breakout that basically the pages that were handed to Don Jr. or Jared, more than likely, at that meeting, who basically got the folder and split. That's my narrative. I don't know that that's how it shook down, but it stinks to high heaven. And since he's the one who's saying the least about that meeting, he's the one who's got the most to hide. And Manafort's already rolling, so... And I don't mean he's taking ecstasy. I mean, he's rolling. Maybe he is. I don't know. He looks a little blotchy.
That's beautiful.
He needs water.
It's no big deal,
Mr.
man.
Manafort.
Touch you.
Yeah, right. Mr. Manafort, can you please just stay in your chair? Let me rub. Come on. Just get him a bottle of water. Stuff.
I'm so thirsty.
Can I play him in the movie? Yes, you can. Paul Manafort, played by Gary Busey. Let me rub you. Come on.
Because I'm already rolling.
Let me rub you. I'm already rolling.
Holy moly.
Rolling,
Look, I have to take my headphones off now.
I'm getting sweaty around the ears.
Oy, oy, oy.
All right, we'll be back. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. More of your calls, 773-763-9270. And, by the way, Trump admitted to the pool on Air Force One. They don't actually have a pool on Air Force One, which wouldn't surprise me, actually. Found out that Trump had one added. We had a pool. There was no pool. I was so upset. It's a little sloshy. But that he may have known about the meeting before it came out in the news. Oops. Which is a contradiction of what he had said when he was first asked about it. It runs in the family. We'll be right back. Jennifer Batten on guitar on that. Killing it. There's rumors that Barbara, his daughter... Hal Jackson, absolutely. I do what I can. Thanks, Julie. Oh! You're gonna be side to side. You got to be side to side. How to get over? Yeah, yeah. Get up, get up. Wait a minute, that's 5, 4. This is one of those days when we need another hour for the show.
20 seconds.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending.
Welcome back. Just for the record, the White House just released an official statement to the pool reporters. President Donald J. Trump announces key White House staff appointment. Well, that sounds like they're getting their act together. President Donald J. Trump today announced the appointment of a key member of the White House staff. Wonder who that's going to be. That's interesting. Ty Cobb will serve as special counsel. Mr. Cobb is a partner in the investigation.
Wasn't he a pitcher like a Major League
Baseball? Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and so on. Like how we couldn't get more gangster than ever. It's one of the people that Al Capone mentions when De Niro is playing him in The Untouchables. Pitches, bats, hits all the livelong day. Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and so on. Right? Right before he whacks that guy in the head. Yeah.
The livelong day.
Yeah. Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and so on. And, but so today, 27 minutes ago, on a Saturday, they announced a White House staff appointment. Ty Cobb, the new special counsel. By the way, who looks awesome. If you haven't seen him.
He does look pretty cool.
Oh, he's awesome. He looks, and it just reminds you to get your diabetes stuff through the mail and eat your Quaker Oats.
It's the right thing to do.
Right here in this chair. That's right. Mr. Diabetes. Anyways, all right. So the pool report.
A couple more calls.
Let me get one thing in. I would like to say for the record, this is pool report number 5. Yesterday 6:36, and this is what passes for current news in the pool report writer. This is when he went to New Jersey. Returning from France straight to New Jersey to watch the golf tournament that was going on. After watching golf on TV with about a dozen people for an hour, the president exited a glass-enclosed viewing stand at 5:20. Let me read that again. After watching golf on TV with about a dozen people for an hour, the president exited a glass-enclosed viewing stand at 5:24 p.m. So he's at a glass-enclosed viewing area to watch the thing, and he watched it on TV for an hour. He's just like everybody else who goes to a baseball game. Get yourself a box seat so you can watch it on television. Worst, best seats in the house. They're best worst. I always get them mixed up. And got into a black SUV. It's unclear where the president is going. As he exited, a man yelled, "That's my president!" and another exclaimed, "Thank you!" A crowd of several dozen people gathered on the balcony of the golf club's clubhouse and waved as POTUS departed. Your pooler has requested a list of people who joined POTUS in the viewing room, but the White House has not yet responded. Sent from my iPhone, which is my favorite part of it. Sent from my iPhone. Holy smokes. So let's grab another call.
We've got on line 4, we have Ann, who's been hanging on for another hour.
Thank you, Ann. Welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Hey there. I have 3 things, and I'll make them really quick.
Go for it.
Don't forget net neutrality is coming up.
That's right.
Not a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2, don't forget that the Trump campaign, the high-rise hooligans, were soliciting foreign contributions and got in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they didn't. And a woman from Scotland who was part of the government posted a letter publicly, I think it was on the Guardian, saying, no way.
Mm-hmm. They hate him.
And this...
Scotland really hates Trump.
Yeah, with good reason, because it ruins the view. But go ahead and continue.
Sorry about that, Ann.
No, that's okay. And I went to a Mark Ribot concert. It was like it was like September or October.
Mm-hmm.
And I met someone who was affiliated with the architectural profession, and he told us, and I shouldn't say he because, well, I'll just say he because it doesn't matter. But anyway, this person told us that he, Donald Trump, walked into the architectural firm that was going to build his building in Chicago and requested something that was reminiscent of the Chicago flavor, so to speak. Not exact words, but that's what he meant. And he thought it would be a really good idea if they could build an upside-down version of the Sears Tower. And a model was made.
An upside-down version.
You heard me.
Like from Stranger Things?
You heard me.
Wow.
That upside down?
True story. And somewhere in Chicago, I think it was, I can't remember the firm, but that model still exists. From what I understand.
First of all, I don't doubt it, and I wouldn't even call it that much of a secret. I thought when you said a bit of the Chicago flavor, he meant a rum runner room.
No.
You know, like basically, because, and believe me, a lot of rich people create both panic rooms, and then they realize after a while that they're so high up in the building, there's really nothing to panic about, and they turn it into this like secret party room, or this, or you know, the bookcase room essentially. That it doesn't show up on the blueprint because you've listed it as a panic room for security. So for security reasons, you can hide almost an entire apartment. Right. You know, and if you look at certain buildings, it's why they will, you know, and I haven't looked. Should go down to next time I'm in New York, I'll go down to City Hall and see if I can get the blueprints for Trump Tower, see if they're still listed or if they've removed them. But some of the Chicago flavor is the kind of stuff that, by the way, that Geraldo got, you know, a pie in the face looking into. When they would find these old...
I remember that.
That's right. When they'd have a little hidden room that wasn't originally on the blueprints that they would build secondarily, or they would add as an addition and then have it scrubbed as, no, that's not the plan. It's going to go someplace else. And then you look at it and, like, there's missing rooms and whatnot. That's not that uncommon, both in, like, super rich villas and whatnot. And I'm curious as to... You hear all this talk about the server that was linked to the Russian bank server that was in Trump Tower. Not debatable, does exist. That was the Trump, both the campaign servers and these other private servers were pinging this Russian bank during the entire thing. When you're talking about, you know, money laundering and whatnot, and in terms of that, I'm curious as to whether or not those were in overt known rooms, unsold. Unsold penthouses and whatnot, because there's tons of those in Trump Tower. There are lots of or empty properties bought by governments that no one actually lives in. They're like gated communities where like 80% of the houses are boarded up, but you don't notice because you're walking down a hallway and you wouldn't see. It's not like you look into windows. If Trump Tower was a subdivision, it would look like a ghost town. Because you would be able to see in the windows and the lack of activity, you know, and it's a fairly stunning thing. So I appreciate the call. We're running out of time, and one of our people in the chat room said, Hal, how would you know about those secret rooms? My dad's an architect. My dad is an architect and is an expert on period architecture. So he helped.
He did not murder those people.
No, he did not. He just, you know, I'm Patrick Bateman. Is this place for sale? But the idea is that they would build these rooms to protect themselves, you know, from, you know, future danger. And then there's some people who took advantage of that, and basically they're the H.H. Holmes of the world, you know, building these.
Nancy, I'm sorry we didn't get to you.
I apologize. Call back next time. Yeah, thank you for
call back.
Yeah, call back next week earlier, and we will get to you right away. We'll make a note. So that Nancy, I appreciate it. See you guys next time. Keep up the good fight. Remember, call all your senators and your congresspeople, even if you think they're already for it. Flood on Monday about this and net neutrality. This is just class warfare on the internet.
Yep.
Understand they're trying to take advantage of the fact that net neutrality sounds nice. We'll see you next week, Johnny. Love you. Thank you, Lady B. See you guys next week. And thank you guys in the chat room. Never let Hal get a piece of you here. That's what he wants you to think. So, yeah. Thank you, Johnny. Love you. And thank you, Fester Frank. I didn't see that until it had already passed. So thanks for the super chat love, everybody. Great stuff. Today was actually a really fun one. I think more of that. That's a lot of fun. It's always great when Johnny's here too. Next week, I'm going to see if I can get, especially depending on how the vote is going or will go. I'll try and get Jackie Schechtner to come in here and be on with me to talk about it. So, yeah. But pretty awesome. I'm just reading through your comments, guys. No crazies on the phone. I kind of enjoy them. Yeah, I don't think we got. I think we didn't get to them. Thank you, Jen Becky. You have a great week too, Tom. And Carl and Julie, thank you for being so vigilant and protecting us from the trollage. I think more Jackie is a good thing. I tried to get her on a couple of weeks ago, and I basically would only have her on on an alternate when Johnny's here. I would love to have that as a fairly regular thing. So that's one of the new show upgradey kind of things. Just trying to get in that circle and cycle again. Anyways, adore you guys. Thank you so much for being with us this weekend. I'll see you next time. I'm gonna go take care of the boy and go have some fun. I think it might be Natural History Museum today. I think that's the one. Yeah, because I think they have the Triceratops puppeteer performing. So I'm not performing this week. Am I? Well, I'm at AIDS Walk tomorrow. That's not really a performance, but tomorrow in San Francisco, I will be at the AIDS Walk. Speaking and all that. And because my mom's watching Camden, so I'm flying up at 5 a.m. to San Francisco tomorrow, and I'm flying back at 1 o'clock. Just whip up and come back down. I'm because of not wanting to be away from my son for very long. I might not be able to stay for the whole walk. I might just go and speak and come back. Usually I do the entire walk, but we'll see what the timing works out. It might be fine if I can, basically say my piece and then just start down the road immediately, like get back, But I want to get back, and then I have band rehearsal, and then we've got some upcoming band shows that we're working on. So we've got to start getting back into the groove, no pun intended. Yeah. So I think that's it. And then I'm going to, I will be in St. Louis next month in August. And for anybody who's keeping track, I'll be a Master Mason by September, which is very exciting. So I've got a lot of study and work to do about that, which is fantastic. And then, again, I'm wearing my SpaceX Occupy Mars and my Mason necklace just to annoy and frighten the Alex Jones types. He wouldn't. He's not afraid of me unless I take away his chocolate cake. That would be very frightening for him. But anyways, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. I gotta run. Adore you guys. Be well. Bye.